Hi, welcome to Book Love today. Thanks for joining me. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about the book that I've just finished recently for my second reading challenge, which was challenge number 2, read a book written by 2 authors. And I have read The Strain by Guillermo Del Toro and Chuck Hogan. Guillermo Del Toro, he is a film creator who brought you Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy, Shape of Water, Pacific Rim, and many others, so you've probably heard of him. Chuck Hogan, he is also an author and a screenwriter and a producer. So this book is actually pretty cinematic at first. I could absolutely see how the little pieces of the story were almost like watching a film, kind of creating this backstory. But The Strain is actually a vampire book. And this is not a sparkle vampire. This is not a, hey, you're kind of dangerous but sexy and I can still love you and ignore the fact that you drink blood because just have a mint, honey. That is not this kind of book. One of the little quotes on back says, Del Toro and Hogan have crafted a deliciously creepy story that will literally make the hairs on your neck stand up. The Strain is Bram Stoker meets Stephen King meets Michael Crichton. So I think that's a really apt description for this book. It is vampires, and the vampirism is a disease that is spreading. So the book starts with a plane landing, a giant 777 airplane. It lands at the JFK airport in New York City, and then moments after it lands, the plane completely shuts down, all the electrical shut off, and all the window blinds are pulled, and there's no response with radio, there's no response at all. Early investigation, people feel like something is off, and so they call in the Canary Project. And if you don't know the history of canaries, it kind of brings it up in this book, but they were used in old times, especially in coal mines. They would take a canary down into the mine with them, and if the canary started acting strange, like didn't sing anymore or became really despondent or fell off of its perch, then that was an indicator to the miners that there was a problem, that something was going on and they needed to evacuate the mine. So the Canary Project in this book is very similar. It's a CDC, Center for Disease Control program, where they investigate something that could be suspicious of a bigger problem that could affect the population. The head of that Canary Project is a guy named Ephraim, and he is our main protagonist, along with a survivor of the Jewish Holocaust named Abraham Setrakeri. I'm honestly not sure how to say this, so I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but Abraham, I feel like I can get that one. Setrakayan, I'm not sure. So Abraham was displaced from his home at a young age and ended up in a death camp during World War II. This is definitely not a book for a young child. Even my teenager age son, I am not probably going to allow him to try this book for at least a couple of more years. It took about 130 pages for me personally to start feeling like the super creepy vibes come in, but they did. And I had to read this book in little spurts sometimes where it was just, it was just too much to process. So I would read for 5 to 10 minutes and then I'd kind of shut it and talk to my family for a second, and then I'd go back to reading and kind of had to take it in little chunks. Not that the story wasn't good. It's a very well-written book, I felt like, but it's just very intense. My husband bought these books and we had them for a while, I don't know how long, and he kind of tried to bring them up every once in a while, suggest that I read them, but he kept saying like, okay, well these are kind of dark, these are a dark book, these are kind of dark and intense, and so I just kept putting it off and putting it off. But thank you for reading challenges, because I thought, it fits that challenge. There's 2 authors. I haven't read it, which isn't a requirement, but a lot of times I try to find something new. And so I was like, okay, I can handle this, I can do this, let's get this done, and it's supposed to be good, so we can put up with a little bit of darkness. I really like the fact that Ephraim is a medical professional, so a lot of the things that were happening or going on Some of them are quite explicit, but when he's talking about it, or even in general, I think they use a lot of like clean medical kind of terms. There is definitely a lot of nitty gritty though, so don't get me wrong on that. Bottom line for this is the fact that if you're a little bit squeamish, you might worry about this book like I did, but also I really did enjoy reading it a lot. It was very good. And when I got to the end, I was like, oh my gosh, like it wasn't really a cliffhanger exactly, but it definitely was left up to be like, okay, where's the next book? Luckily we have the trilogy, so that made that easier for me. But yeah, it was an intense ride for sure. I want to share you a little quote that I found in here, and when I read it, I was like, yes, you guys, you get me. I love this part, so I have to share it with you guys. This is Abraham talking to Ephraim, and he says, "Doctor, this isn't something one simply tells. It is something that must be revealed." So I loved that because when I tell stories, maybe you've noticed, I kind of go on tangents. I try to tell like the whole scope of the story when I really could probably tell it in like half the time. But I want people to understand the scope, so I don't want to just tell them the one thing. I want to reveal the whole thing, like why is it important, why was this interesting, and all of that stuff. So anyway, I absolutely loved that part. That quote, I was just like, you guys get me. I love this. Another little page that I marked just kind of talking about some of the nitty gritty in this book, and I'm quoting here, "The foul smell of fresh, hot vampire piss filled the arch space, the burnt ammonia scent holding dark associations." So I'm just like, yeah, how many other vampire books have you read that talk about vampire piss? Well, this one does, but really very, very excellent read. I would recommend it for people who enjoy kind of intense books. Creepy, yeah, that would work, and just kind of a darker fantasy. And anyone who's a fan of Bram Stoker's, or I haven't personally read any Stephen King, but they're kind of comparing it, so maybe I'll try some of his books one time. I've been thinking about it. Or if you just feel adventurous and you want to try a good book that's new, I did look this up and found out this morning that Chuck Hogan and Guillermo Del Toro have worked together to make this into a TV series, The Strain. So that might be interesting as well. We really don't have TV, so unless it comes out on Netflix or Amazon Prime, I probably won't watch it. But if you like vampire stuff, I would say take a look into this. You won't be disappointed. So yeah, that's everything that I have today to talk about The Strain by Guillermo Del Toro and Chuck Hogan. Also, Chuck Hogan, to me, I think he's a combination of Hulk Hogan and Chuck Norris. Tell me what you think. But seriously, very good book, and I recommend it absolutely, but just beware that it is intense and you might have to pull your covers all of the way up to your chin. Or like me, usually I sleep with my feet out of the covers. I had to have them covered so I could stay safe while I slept after reading this book. Anyway, have a great day, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.